Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Monday, May 15th, 2017.
Commissioner Rivas, Repenning, James, Davis, and Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Alfred Mata, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Chris Smith, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Gary Harris, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we received speaker cards under General Public Comment. We have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council Comment section, and we also received speaker cards on all the items for today's agenda.
Okay, well, we'll close the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, April 28th, 2017 by Commissioners Repenning and Rivas? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. We have a presentation this morning, 30-year Service Recognition Award for Diana Williams. We'll start with Commissioner Rivas and Commissioner Davis. Yeah.
Good morning. I'm excited today to recognize Diana Williams for 30 years of service to the City of LA. She's our executive assistant in the board offices, and I've gotten to know her in the last 6 months very well, and I'm very proud of her service, and Commissioner Davis will tell us a little bit more about her.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. It is my privilege to present to you Diana Williams. This is her, obviously, 30 years of service to the great city of Los Angeles. She began her career in 1986 here in City Hall at the Department of Building and Safety. Within her first year, she promoted to the Department of Public Works, where she's been for the last 29 years. Her first promotion began as a senior clerk typist in what was known as the Refuse Collection Division in the Bureau of Sanitation. She spent 5 years at the North Central District Refuse Collection District supervising 6 clerical staff and serving as the office manager before automation. After 5 years, she transferred to the Administration Division of Refuge Collection Division at Piper Tech, doing administrative work and serving as backup secretary to the manager of Refuge Collection Division. While there, she was recognized by Public Works Task Force on morale and achievement for outstanding service. Her supervisor recognized her double duty serving as both senior clerk and secretary and her outstanding service. Eventually, Diana promoted to secretary within the same division and assisted Marilyn McGuire, a pioneer in the field, as the first woman to manage Refuge Collection Division, a male-dominated workforce. Diana limited herself to staying no more than 5 years in each position she has promoted. She worked in lieu of a management analyst when she was promoted to management aide. By then, she was on 2 promotional lists when she got a call from a friend asking her if she was planning to respond to the certification for a position here at the Board of Public Works, where she began a career back in 2003. During the recession, Diana transferred to the Bureau of Street Lighting, where she spent another 5 years before returning to her original office and position at the Board of Public Works, assisting Commissioner Lux Rivas and myself. She was instrumental in leading the Public Works High School internship program for 7 years, and recently has assisted me with the African American Heritage Month planning for the past 2 years. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is certainly a privilege to present to you an outstanding, committed, dedicated worker here in the great city of Los Angeles, specifically here in the Department of Public Works, Diana Williams.
Now, I'm wondering, Diana, I'm going to give you the choice. So we worked together now for a while. Would you like to speak first, or would you like us to?
I'll speak first.
Okay, go right ahead. That's the way things work around here. I asked Diana, and she tells me what.
Well, I want to say thank you very much and good morning. It is an honor to stand before you for this 30-year service recognition. I am grateful for the career that has spanned 30 years of my life and have helped me to provide for my family. Prior to my city career, I worked at LA Federal Credit Union, formerly located at Union Street. And I used to open up new accounts. At the same time, I was asking city employees questions about their jobs, knowing what their checks looked like and wanting to get some of that. So eventually what I did is got enough information and took the day off vacation and came to the city and applied. Back then you could apply, get notified whether you passed the test, get hired the same day, get assigned to a department, and that's exactly what I did. So my first department was building and safety here on the 4th floor, back in the day when they were smoking cigarettes at their desk. So needless to say, our offices smelled like smoke, and when I would come down to the 3rd floor, the staircase was filled with smoke because people were smoking in the stairway. And though I smoked at the time, I never smoked at work. So that was like a big thing. People are smoking at their desk. Wow. Because in the banking industry, people did not smoke in the building. So that was my path into the city. I started in October. I interviewed in September, started in October, and at the time I was a single parent. And that was my motivation. I needed better health benefits, better pay, better security, and so lucky me, I came to the city and have spent a lot of years here. When I promoted to North Central, I met my husband. I met him because he used to work for Stadco, which is a aerospace company, and he worked on Avenue 20, which was the path that led me to San Fernando Road. And he would time it perfectly to come out into the yard, and I was driving my little black Nissan Sentra, and I was young, of course, so we would flirt with each other. And so it was during that time when I took a lunch over at the local taco place, and he was there, and right away asked me for my number instead of my name. So I gave him my number, and at first I said, you should ask me for my name first, but you know, we only had a limited amount of time, so we exchanged information, and then he called me right when I got back to work. So that was, you know, instrumental in my career and my family, and he is here today, Mr. Richard Williams. We've been together for 29 years and married for 25. So I've met many wonderful people during my career, friends that have lasted a lifetime, and new friends that I've met as they promoted to the class of Executive Administrative Assistant, for which I've been an officer since 2004 and president for the past 8 years. I was born in LA. I was born at John Wesley Hospital, which is no longer there because the 110 freeway is there. When they expanded, they knocked it down. We used to live in South LA on one of those 90-something streets in a bungalow with my mom, my dad, and I think it was my brother at the time. And so LA is dear to my heart, and I love LA. I have a passion for LA. I am proud to serve LA. I am proud to provide the best service I can provide to your constituents, our constituents, and the residents of LA. So I thank you very much for this recognition, and I thank you all for allowing me to say these few words in honor of the 30 years that I've served LA, and I thank those that are here with me to share this moment, as it is a special moment, and I kind of didn't want to do this. I was thinking maybe we should wait till that actual retirement, which is like 4 months away.
Nobody's counting, though, right?
Actually, I got to change my Post-it with saying 130-something days left. So, yeah, we're counting, and I think my motivation is to not have to drive to LA from the city of Azusa. But other than that, if I lived 10 minutes away, I would work longer. And I hope that someday I could come back as a volunteer docent to provide a tour of our building and share some historical knowledge about some of the experiences that I've had here in City Hall and in my 30-year career, because it's been wonderful. And in spite of that horrible time of recession, you know, I've learned a lot of things during that period, and I'm grateful because I worked at Bureau Street Lighting for 5 years and met more lifelong friends, and I couldn't be more grateful for all these experiences and even challenges that I've had here in the city of Los Angeles. So thank you, President James, for allowing me to speak first, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Diana. So, Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James, Commissioner Davis, and Commissioner Rivas. I join you in congratulating our Diana Williams. It's great to see so much of Richard, you, and so much of, if you're here for Diana, raise your hand, wave it up in the air. Very good. That's a lot of love here, and that's testimony. Sisters, La Familia,
Best friend of 30-something
BFF, everybody's here, sharing their love and their support with you, Diana, which is testimony.
Oh, my Azusa girls.
Capture it all. No, it's great testimony, and thank you all for being here to witness. Diana, your comments are great. You have this opportunity, and you shared your narrative, which is so important. We all have a different narrative of how we come to the city, but what's really clear is your service. And I see that, and I've really enjoyed working with you over the last year and a half, almost 2 years. You bring that spice to the Board of Public Works, ¿verdad? And it's a partnership between our executive administrative assistants and our commissioners. So I appreciate you. May you continue to have public service in your life, whether it's Azusa or here. And God bless you for the work and the life you've had.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Commissioner Repenning.
Diana, I just want to appreciate the lifetime of service that you've given to the city. 30 years is an incredible amount of time, and what we go through in our personal lives during that period kind of on a parallel track, but meanwhile you're coming in every day and giving us your best. You know, we just appreciate your smiling face up at the front of our offices, and you're just very lovely to work with. And I know that you have a fondness for just being part of the institution of the board, which is, you know, different from working inside the department. And I know that you bring yourself to that, and we appreciate you being part of the framework that keeps us all together and all moving forward. So thank you for all you've done. We look forward to celebrating with you again in 4 months, or maybe it'll be 5 or 6. I don't know. Who knows?
Thank you.
But congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Repenning.
Commissioner Rivas has given her the official commemoration proclamation from the city, and I'd also like everyone to know, on behalf of the commission and the members of the Public Works Department, some 5,000 or more members, we also give you your 30-year pin that is highlighted with a cluster of 3 diamonds at the bottom. So we hope that you will take this and cherish it and never pawn it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. So, Diana, I think I'll wrap up. One of the privileges of president, you get to go last in some of these circumstances. Or first, if you had wanted me to go first, I would have done that. And let me, but before I do that, Commissioner Rivas?
Diana, I just want to thank you for just really bringing me up to speed and teaching me everything I know so far about the board and the history of the board, which I think is very important. Some of the projects that you've discussed with me, especially the high school internship program, you're just so passionate about that, and I think we share that passion to teach youth and empower the future of public works. So thank you just for everything you've done in the last 6 months. It's been very instrumental for me to kind of get started and immediately. So thank you, and 30 years, I'm excited for you, I'm sad for us, but I'm very excited for you because I know you're going to have another 30 years of public service in Azusa, in your town, and they're so lucky to have you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. Dr. Campos?
Diana, congratulations again, 30 years. Although I've been working with you for only 2 years, I feel like I have a lot in common with you. We both were in the banking industry before we started our city careers. We both started in the clerical series when we started our city careers. I moved up through the clerical series, became a secretary, and one thing that I always remember, and it's humbling, that you always get to know who your secretary is, who your assistant is, who your executive assistant is, because if you want things to happen in the city, you go to them first because they're the shakers and movers. Of course, our policy folks and our governance folks that help make things happen, the secretaries and the executive assistants and the assistants to those commissioners or general managers or assistant general managers, those are the people that actually make it happen. So I thank you for helping us make it happen here in the Department of Public Works. You are an ideal public servant, a role model for many folks that want to move up through the clerical ranks into the paraprofessional, into the professional series. I also commend you for your being a single department careerist, if you will, a public works careerist, because you become a specialist, not just a generalist in public service, but a specialist in public works, public services. And so with that, thank you, and thank you also for your leadership in your union role, also helping us institutionalize some of our office manuals and protocols, and welcoming our commissioners, because as public servants, we see the commissioners come in, many go out, and so there's also that level of consistency that we try to deliver to our commissioners so that they're effective from day one and that they're operating so efficient. So without you and the executive assistants and all the project managers and assistants that are here with the Board of Public Works and throughout the entire city, we thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Campos. Diana, I think we first met, 30 years is a long time. I think I mentioned maybe in the last meeting, my first day of a real job as an adult in Los Angeles for me was May 9th, 1987. So it was in the law world. In the law firms, they smoked at their desks too. Not so many of the associates, but the partners certainly did in those years. But that time has passed, and it really passes fast. I think about just for me the last 30 years, how fast it's gone. And your willingness to stay with the city of Los Angeles for all those 30 years speaks a lot towards your commitment to public service. So thank you for that. I think I might have heard about you before I met you. My first executive assistant in my office was Geraldine. Everyone in City Hall knows Geraldine. She's since retired, of course. And then I remember when you came in and I met you, and Geraldine had described you to me and told me that you were one of those folks that had years of institutional knowledge of the Board of Public Works. And you had a lot of pride in the work that the Board of Public Works did, and that showed through this morning, even as you spoke with us this morning. And when we had the opportunity to bring you back from the Bureau of Street Lighting, first of all, we were pleased that you were interested in coming back, because I knew that institutional knowledge would be, and pride in the board would be a real asset here at the Board of Public Works, and it really has been. So for me, thank you just personally for spending your final years in the city with us, and for sharing your institutional knowledge with us, because we benefited greatly from that. You particularly benefit from it, as you all know, when you have some commissioners will leave and other commissioners will come in, and it's very nice to have someone who is already at that desk every day, who knows who the bureau representatives are, and who to get on the phone, and which people work at which organization, and that takes time to learn, and you already knew that. I also want to thank you for being the one to sit at that front desk. Unless you sit at that front desk, there's a reason Diana laughs and not everybody else does. That's a unique place to sit every day for lots of fascinating reasons. And the reasons change every day. It's one of the things that make this job so interesting, but it's especially unique when you sit at that front desk every day. And I also wanted to thank you, as Fernando mentioned, for your work and leadership that you've done with your union. I'd heard about that work before you even started with us, and so I thought it would be beneficial for us as well. As far as your work with me, I always appreciate the rotation method that we have in place with the three of you that work in our front offices. It's worked really well for us, and it makes our days more seamless for some of the challenges that we have to deal with.
Thank you.
So thank you for your service. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your commitment to the board. And thank you for your friendship. You're the first person I say hi to usually in the mornings when I come in, that I have contact with in the office, other than the nice people that let me into the parking garage. And you're always there with a smile and a good morning, and that helps you start the day. So Diana, thank you. We're glad you're going to be here for a few more months. We will miss you when you leave. We understand that you are willfully breaching the moratorium on retirement that I've consistently tried to put in place since I've been here. Nobody wants to follow it. For some reason, nobody wants to turn it into an ordinance either. So congratulations. And it is always hard when you have that institutional knowledge leave the building, even though we're excited for you in your next steps as you do so. And I'm very happy to hear that you want to come back and share some of that knowledge in your free time in future years. We can certainly use it, and we certainly welcome it. So thank you for all of your time here.
Thank you.
And to the Board of Public Works. What I will do after we give Diana another big round of applause is take a brief recess for 1 minute so we can take a couple of photographs, and then we'll get back on our agenda. So Diana, thank you for 30 years. Thank you, Ms. Back on?
Give me 1 second.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome back. Our agenda item number 1, Council District 13, above-ground facility appeal, lot adjacent to 3301 West Sunset Boulevard. Commissioner Jacinto recommending that the board deny Ryan Neiman's appeal for the Bureau of Engineering's determination to locate the above-ground facility adjacent to 3301 West Sunset Boulevard with the condition that the proposed cabinet be moved 517 feet north of the center line of Descanso Drive. Now, let's see. Mr. Spindler, you put in a card on number 1. I'm just trying to find it. Go ahead, sir, while I find your card.
So again, this is one of these one-man denial of due process appeals, which is done in the coffin room behind us. See, what happens is that you think you're going to be hearing this case before an attorney or a retired judge. No, they put you in the back, and there's a table shaped like a coffin. Now, the reason it's shaped like a coffin is because you're dead as soon as you enter the room, because you're not going to have a fucking chance to win your appeal. Now, what me and my associates used to do, Matt Szabo used to sit in the exact same chair that Mr. Jacinto sits in. We used to go, actually, to those appeals. And we got so many of them reversed. Matt Szabo quit. He was in the hallway, and he said, "You win. I'm going to quit the Board of Public Works." Yes, now, I haven't been back there. I haven't been watching, because the deal was Joel was going to be fair with everybody. That was the word. I trusted him. But now I see this. Are we going back to the bad days of Matt Szabo? Are we going back to the days of the coffin table? Or are we going to get our shit together and stop moving cabinets into little center line roads like Descanso Road and Silver Lake? See, I bought property in that area. Now, once I settle my lawsuits with you guys and I put a couple of your councilmen in prison, I'll be back doing my old job and doing investments. So if I buy something later in Descanso, I don't want that cabinet anywhere on Descanso. So leave it in the right-of-way on Sunset. Stop invading residential neighborhoods. Stop fucking with Silver Lake, and let these people win. Sustain the appeal of Mr. Neiman.
All right, so for agenda item number 1, let me just kind of organize. I've got Ryan, is it Lederman or Letterman from Liner, and you're representing the appellant. I have the appellant himself, and I have Vanessa Delgado from Azure Development, and then I have representatives from AT&T as well. So we're not going to start with you, sir. We're going to start with our Bureau of Engineering. So Mr. Ledoux, you can let us know what's going on here, and then we'll go through the various sides on this.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Ledoux. I work with Bureau of Engineering Central District. This is an AT&T cabinet for high-speed internet. It is adjacent to 3101 West Sunset Boulevard. This is in Council District 13, Mitchell Farrells. So far, they have remained neutral on this. This property is zoned commercial, and basically Ryan Newman, representing 3303 Sunset LC, appealed this, and we did have an appeal hearing with Commissioner Jacinto on February 8th. Originally, the letter that I got from Randy Newman had 2 issues in it. One had to do with notification. The other had to do with their plans to redo this property. I checked the notification issues. As you know, we make the applicant send out letters to certain properties and certain entities via registered mail. According to the United States Postal Tracking System, they delivered this to an individual that represents this company on January 10th at 1:09 p.m. So the applicant, or I should say the appellant, did get AT&T's letter. They also got the city's letter that gave them the right to appeal. As to the property, when we had an appeal hearing before Commissioner Jacinto, basically the appellant did not have a set of plans yet, did not really know exactly what they were going to do and where they were going to do it, although they did say that the proposed location was in front of both an ingress and egress driveway onto the property. And so we did go out there, and the appellants went out there also, and we looked around. And basically, if you looked at the board report, in fact, I've got a photo here that shows it. At the opposite end of the building, there's a parking lot there, and AT&T agreed to move it to that end of the property, so it's facing the driveway just past where the building ends. It's about 20 feet south of the driveway into that parking lot. And that's what the board report states when it says, deny the appeal on the condition we move it 517 feet north of the center line of Descanso Drive. That's where we're talking about, adjacent to the parking lot just after the building ends. And that's where we left it at this point in time. I did find that I had a letter from a law firm representing also the appellant here. This came in Friday, May 12th, after I left work, so I hadn't seen this until this morning. And basically, it's similar to the original appeal in that they talk about notification results. They talk about basically that it's going to interfere with the planning of this property and a couple other issue technicalities within the LA Municipal Code Section 62.08. One of them dealing with Section 8 that they claim says that if there's going to be a street improvement that you're not supposed to put an AGF there. The ordinance actually states that it's preferable not to, but they basically in this case AT&T could go ahead and do this, and that that section talks about city improvements, not private property improvements. And if it's a city improvement, like you're widening the roadway, then AT&T would have to move their facility at their cost when those improvements happened. In this case, we're not talking about a city improvement in the street or public right-of-way there. We're talking about private improvement. And this cabinet is in a public way. It is not on private property.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Ledoux before we go to the appellant? All right, thank you. Commissioner Rivas.
I have a question just what you just said in terms of it being, if the cabinet is placed adjacent to this property and then they need to repair the sidewalk, then what happened? Would they have to remove the cabinet and then place it again? Is it disrupting the AT&T service?
No, it's not. The cabinet is in its own concrete foundations in the sidewalk. So in other words, you can remove all the sidewalk around their little cabinet foundation and re-pour the sidewalk without really interfering with the cabinet whatsoever.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Ledoux. Is it Letterman or Lederman? Lederman, okay. I tried the first time, sorry. One of the things that, I don't know if you've appeared before us, sir, since we've been impaneled. So, just so you know, for the real parties in interest, we don't put the 2-minute time limit on. We don't put any time limit on. What I will do is just ask you that if you start to repeat yourself, then you've probably said all you're going to say, and I'll step in at that point. But Also, regarding your side of the docket, it doesn't really matter to us in which order you speak. It's really up to you. But again, if people are just going to get up and say the same thing that you've said, then I'll remind them of a time limit. So go ahead.
Great, thank you, President James, and I appreciate the board for having me this morning. So my name is Ryan Lederman, and I represent the property owner 3303 Sunset LLC, represented by also Ryan Neiman, who's affiliated with the ownership. And we're here today not because we want to be obstructionists. The property owner and the future tenants and the existing tenants of the property benefit by high-speed internet service and all that it has to offer. Our beef really is with the location of the facility. We are in case management right now, and we anticipate filing for entitlements in the next 2 months or so for mixed-use development at the site, which will include affordable housing. And the initial location of the proposed above-ground facility was located in the location of where the proposed driveway would be. So AT&T, in a concession, did decide to, or propose to move it, but it's right in the line of sight of the existing driveway. And as you know, with the entitlement process, it's going to take another year and a half at least in order to pull building permits. That's just how the city works. So what this proposed new location would do, it would create a dangerous condition where it would impact the visibility of people exiting that driveway. And that is one of our concerns. Another concern is that the client is going to be investing millions and millions of dollars at this site to provide housing. And this box, even though it's graffiti-free, we know it's going to be a target for people putting posters or whatnot. It's just not the most aesthetically pleasing facility in this location where so much money is going to go into improving the streetscape, completely redoing that sidewalk. And I do dispute Mr. Ledoux's contention that, yeah, you just could build around that facility. Well, you're going to want to clean up that sidewalk and not have the edges of the existing sidewalk, which is in really bad shape. You're going to want to clean up that entire sidewalk. So in these circumstances, this location is not the appropriate location at this time. And I met with AT&T and talked about, well, can't you move it another 100 feet down? Oh, but we'd have to trench a little bit farther. Oh, we can't do an underground vault. And I think that there are real solutions that could address the needs over here. We want the service. We can incorporate it into our development. And everything was like, no, we can't do that. We'd have to renotice, so we can't do that. And, we're coming to the table to make a deal over here. And I feel that they were not, and the client feels that they were just not willing to negotiate. So if anything, I could ask that we continue this for a few months so that you could see the plans that we're proposing, because by then we will have filed and you'll see that it's a real project. And then maybe at that point, we will have been able to work something out with AT&T.
Thank you, Mr. Lederman. Just a couple of points. And I realize I'm asking you to speculate a little bit. And one thing we're always inclined to do is, if we sense a chance of finding an agreement, and we're going to ask AT&T the same question. If we sense the opportunity to reach an agreement, we always like to try and facilitate that. But recognizing at the stage of this development right now, I'm kind of forcing you to speculate, or asking you to speculate a little bit on what might be on the table for a work out between the developer and AT&T for this facility.
Sure. Well, one thing that Noel from AT&T told us when we met last week at the site is that the above-ground facility needs to be at least 10 feet away from the power pole. And, but that there's no limitation on how far away that cabinet needs to be from that power pole, so long as it's more than 10 feet away. So if one goes maybe 100 feet to the east along Sunset Boulevard, there are properties that are not proposed to be redeveloped that could use a little sprucing up perhaps. And it would be maybe more appropriate in that location where there's not a pending development to redevelop them. And so there might be an additional cost associated with trenching. So one deal that I'm sure my client may not appreciate, but is to help perhaps fund some of that additional trenching that might be necessary in order to locate that above-ground facility just slightly farther away.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Penning?
When you say a little bit further away, you're still talking about somewhere on the property?
Actually, no. So that would not necessarily be in front of the property. So this would be offsite the property. At the very least, there potentially are other locations on the property, just not right at the front door. I mean, the revised location literally is right at where the lobby location would be. So it's just not the appropriate location for that. And then the initial location literally was right where the driveway was located. And I know it's difficult because you don't have the plans. I've submitted massing diagrams. It's just, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves with showing the whole project. But it is a real project that we're working on coming forward.
Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Mr. Liederman, thank you for your testimony, your advocacy. Based on President James's question to you, you said you'd be open to finding out a workout. You don't have that right now, but you're asking for a continuance to see what the exact plans so that we can possibly place the meter box on your property, correct? Is that what you're asking?
Well, there are a few different solutions. When we talked to AT&T about possibly incorporating the facility on our property, no. We talked about going off-site, no, because that has to be renoticed. Talked about trenching, no, because that's going to cost more money. So every solution, and I'm a pretty reasonable person, that we proposed, it was a flat-out no. The only potential solution was possibly relocating elsewhere along the right-of-way in front of the property. And I feel that there were other different solutions that really have not been explored that may go ahead and achieve the needs of AT&T as well as the redevelopment of the property.
I think I heard an opportunity, though, still, if I might, Commissioner Jacinto.
Yeah, I would like to bring up.
Well, I was going to finish what I
please.
thought that opportunity was. So, and we'll have to talk to AT&T, but you had indicated, Mr. Liederman, that for still the same, adjacent to the same property, you think there are better options than what's on the table right now?
Yes.
Okay. That was the one thing I thought I heard. Okay. Commissioner Jacinto, anything else? Okay, Commissioner Davis.
So basically, you've not had an opportunity to explore all the possibilities with AT&T, even though they rejected a few. But they've not really had the opportunity to engage with you on the whole comprehensive possibilities that could exist with regard to a solution. Is that correct?
Commissioner Davis, yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So does Mr. Neiman want to speak or Ms. Delgado want to speak before we go to AT&T with some questions? Go ahead, sir. Did I say your name correctly?
Ryan Neiman.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you guys for having me today. I represent ownership at 3303 Sunset LLC. Really, I'm here to just say that we are planning a development. We'd like to invest in this community. We want to build housing, including a project that contains affordable housing. In our plans with that, we have a new retail streetscape that's planned, as well as investing in the sidewalk. And I just urge not to put the cabinet ahead of kind of the larger block of what we want to do here. We want that cabinet close by to us so that, our tenants and the people in this community can have high-speed internet, but there just has to be some sort of mutual agreement as to where that location goes, given the long-term view of this project and the community as a whole.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Neiman? Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Vanessa Delgado. I'm the project manager for this project, and I just want to state that this team has experience building millions of square feet in Los Angeles, and we want to work with utilities. This is a benefit to the project. We just don't want it to lead the development of the project, so we're just asking for more time today. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, ma'am. So from the side of AT&T, Kevin Tamaki, John Johnston, or Noel Palace? Go ahead, sir. Only one at a time if we might, although you can stand nearby.
Good morning. My name is Noel Palais. I'm joined with my colleague John Johnston for AT&T on the proposed AGF for this location.
Go ahead. Same admonition as you heard before regarding no time limit.
Right. Well, if I may just go ahead and just quickly address the last issue that was brought up relative to finding an alternate location within the property. We definitely would be amenable to doing that, but we've not been shown, or no renderings have been shared with us. Everything that has ever been mentioned to us are merely hypotheticals, possibles, what ifs, and these questions have been brought up to us on that. And so because of that, we feel as if though we're being somewhat held handcuffed with regards to moving forward and being able to provide this service for the community.
Although I would just say, sir, that sometimes and I haven't been party to the discussions, obviously, sometimes, as I mentioned on my own when I was speaking with Mr. Lederman, recognizing where they are in the process, there has to be some speculation because we're assuming what will be approved before it's approved.
Right, no, and we completely understand, respect, and appreciate where they're at with regards to the development for that community. As someone that grew up in that immediate area, went to school not too far away from that, I appreciate what is being proposed to go there. But from our multiple site visits there with the appellant, from our appeal hearing, at every juncture we've asked, well, is there something that you're moving forward on that you can in essence share with us? From the appeal hearing, if I don't misstate myself, the proposal was we don't have anything that's willing to be shared with at this time right now. And so we'd be willing to go ahead and look at alternate locations, but we don't know what is on the table for us to be able to propose something.
Okay. Let me try this. Is there anything else you wanted to add for us to?
Yes.
Go ahead.
This is John Johnston.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Good to see you.
When we met with the commissioner, they stated that the location of our cabinet was going to be where their driveway was to underground parking for this facility. That happens. You know, when we look at it, we see the building that's there today. We don't see what the plans are. So that's not an unusual occurrence to happen. So we were willing to move it to the side so that it was the proper BOE recommended distance from that driveway. When we met them in the field, they said, well, in addition to the ingress and egress from that underground parking, we're now going to have an additional driveway for parking on the property immediately next to that. So that was because we had been already planning to move it there. So that kind of eliminated that. So what we started doing is measuring, well, where can we go within this notification area that we've already notified? And that was when the decision was made to move it closer to the driveway, which would eventually be removed and eliminated with the new project. And there weren't any positive responses from the property owners' representatives in that regard.
Okay. So I think, let me try this. First of all, I've got a public record of what Commissioner Cinto's recommendation was on this. All right, it's stated right here in front of us. And so Mr. Lederman might take notice of that as you all move forward. I've got a pretty good hunch that I'm not the only one, because I'll televise where I am right now. I would like to find, and it's probably obvious from the question I asked Mr. Lederman, I would like to find a location at the same property that does not trip another notice requirement for you, that makes more sense than what's being proposed. And I recognize that given the condition or the time frame that we're in on this development, it might make sense to wait a couple of months. Mr. Lederman, when will you have more? Again, I'm asking you to speculate, but when do you think you will have more information regarding some of the other departments coming back with information that's helpful to you as you go forward in the negotiation process?
So we'll be filing for entitlements within the next 3 months. So probably within about 2 months or so, we'll definitely have better schematic drawings, concept design drawings, but we should be back into the city in about 3 months.
Okay. Mr. Ledoux, could I ask you a question? We don't have a shot clock on this, do we, or do we?
No, we do not.
Okay. What I would propose by way of a motion would be to continue the item for 3 months, to give the parties the opportunity to negotiate for a site, an alternative site, or any site adjacent to this property that the parties can agree to, that does not trip a new notice provision for AT&T. So those are the parameters of the negotiation. And at the end of 3 months, we'll come back and find out where we are, and if we have enough information to make a ruling one way or the other, we will.
I have no problem with that unless the city attorney knows some legal reason why we shouldn't do that, as long as the appellant understands that we are not moving this cabinet to a property adjacent to someone other than their own. They need to know that right up front, because that's what they've been pushing for the entire time.
I think I made that. I was hoping. I agree with you that we're not. When I said that we'll not trip a new notice requirement for AT&T and adjacent to the property, but a better place. Mr. Lederman told me that there may be a better place that makes more sense for them, and I believe them when they say that they want their tenants to have high-speed internet, and they understand the benefit of having this infrastructure close to their property. And I also appreciate that they're coming in with a new project that has affordable housing too. So we're trying to get all parties to an agreement. So that would be Commissioner Repenning.
I just want to also chime in on being hopeful that this can be worked out on the property. I haven't heard a good reason. You know, we have reasons sometimes for safety and other drivers that would cause us to look at another property. I haven't heard that in this case. I appreciate that there's a new project with housing coming in, even though it looks like my favorite tailor may be displaced. I hope she gets treated right. And but I have not heard anything that would lead me to think that for some reason we should be looking. You know, it's a long stretch of sidewalk, so there's got to be a way to put it so that it's not, blocking line of sight, et cetera, for driveways.
Yeah, as I said, it's 20 feet away from the sidewalk driveway. You'll notice that the driveway or the sidewalk here is extremely wide. You'll also notice that there's parking meters all along that stretch, and cars routinely park there. If they can't, the greater visibility, if you want to call it, problem is with the cars that are constantly parked along there than the size of this meter cabinet. So yes, as far as I am aware, because I've been out there, I see no traffic visibility hazards with the placement of this cabinet.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Cinto, you're satisfied?
Yes, I think 3 months.
Okay.
And coming back with the optimal placement on site.
Okay. Dr. Campos, what does that do with our dates?
Mr. President, 3-month continuation would put you to the next available board meeting on Wednesday, August 16th.
Okay. That would be our recommendation then. So it'll be continued to Wednesday, August 16th. We'll see where we are then. Hey, and gentlemen, yes, sir.
I apologize for my bluntness on this. If I may be really curt with regards to it, that there has to be, as you had indicated, true good faith, genuine interest to move forward on negotiating on this, because with regards to the placement on it, the last site visit that we did at the location last Tuesday, all of the proposed locations were not within their property.
But this hearing hadn't happened yet.
No, and I understand that, but I just want the record to go ahead and reflect that all of the locations were off-site, somewhere not within the property that would trigger a new notification period, because at every turn, this cabinet was constantly being referred to as a blight for their project.
Yeah, well, this hearing hadn't happened yet, and they accepted that I heard Mr. Liederman say that they acknowledge that it could become a magnet for graffiti, but I know that AT&T, would this qualify for the material on the cabinet that makes graffiti removal easier? It's something that it sounds like this tenant They're going to be new. They're going to be on the property. They're going to take care of their property for their tenants. So I don't have the same concern you do, sir, with respect. So I would just ask both parties, as August 16th draws near, if you're close, you feel like you're close, you both agree that you're close, and you need another couple of weeks, you can just let us know without having to come in. All right? But that's only if both parties feel like they're close. I don't want to haul you both back here if you both feel. If one feels like you're close and the other one doesn't, then we're going to be back. But if you both, hopefully we have a deal done by then. But if not, and you need a couple more weeks, and you both feel like a couple more weeks is helpful, that you can let us know, and we'll just do that ourselves without having you come down here. Okay? Thank you. And that'll be the order on agenda item number 1. Thank you all for your continued participation in a joint resolution on this. Agenda item number 2, it looks like, Mr. Smith, we've got you for the rest of the day. Council Districts 2, 9, 13, and 15, Bureau of Contract Administration, Department of Transportation, Contract Acceptance, Highway Safety Improvement Program, 5 new traffic signals and 2 new pedestrian warning devices, recommending that the board accept the contract. Mr. Spindler, you have a card on number 2, Mr. Spindler, on number 2. Did Mr. Herman turn in any cards today at all, Mr. Campos?
I believe I saw one. Not
Okay,
clear
I'm going to
on
call
which
Mr.
item it
Herman
is.
on number 2 as well. Mr. Herman? Okay, neither one are here. Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Good morning. Chris Smith, Bureau of Contract Administration. This contract was awarded by the board on May 31st, 2013, completed July 18, 2014 by KDC, doing business as Dynalectric. Project installed some traffic signal equipment at various locations. All of the outreach goals were met. There was no project labor agreement on this contract. There are no unresolved financial or property issues, and the Bureau recommends acceptance.
Any questions on agenda item number 2? I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any issue sending number 2 forthwith? Number 2 will go forthwith. Agenda item number 3, Council District 11, Bureaus of Contract Administration and Engineering, Contract Acceptance, Hyperion Treatment Plant, Digester Gas Utilization Project, Cooling Water System Project, recommending that the board accept the contract. Mr. Spindler on number 3. Mr. Spindler on number 3. Mr. Herman on number 3. Neither are here for number 3. Mr. Smith, go ahead.
This project was awarded by the board June 2nd, 2014, and completed September 19, 2016 by Colich & Sons, LP. The project extended some water lines to the DGUP facility to provide cooling water for that facility. The outreach goals were also met on this project. There was no project labor agreement, and there were no unresolved financial or property issues. The Bureau recommends acceptance.
Any questions on number 3? No questions on number 3. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 3, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Any issue sending number 3 forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. Number 4, Council District 11, Bureaus of Contract Administration and Engineering, Contract Acceptance, Hyperion Treatment Plant, Substation Separation. We're recommending that the board accept the contract. Mr. Herman on number 4. Mr. Herman on number 4. Mr. Spindler on number 4. Mr. Smith on number 4.
This contract was awarded June 21st, 2013, and completed July 15, 2015 by Mass Electric Construction. Construction consisted of modifications to the power service to the Hyperion plant. There was no project labor agreement. The contractor did comply with the outreach requirements. And there are no unresolved property or financial issues on this contract. The Bureau recommends acceptance.
Any questions on number 4? Any questions on number 4? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 4, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 4. Any issues with forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Agenda item number 5, Council District 5, Bureaus of Engineering and Contract Administration, Contract Acceptance, West Los Angeles Interceptor Sewer Rehabilitation Overland to Kelton, recommending that the board accept the contract. Mr. Spindler on number 5. Mr. Herman on number 5. Mr. Smith on number 5.
This contract was awarded September 8, 2014, and completed February 29, 2016 by Colich & Sons, LP. The project rehabilitated 1,800 feet of the West LA Interceptor sewer by slip lining and some open cut. The outreach requirements were met by the contractor, as well as the PLA requirements. There are no unresolved financial or property issues. The Bureau recommends acceptance of this contract.
Any questions on number 5? No questions on number 5. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 5, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Any issue sending 5 forthwith? We'll send number 5 forthwith. Agenda item number 6, Bureau of Contract Administration and Engineering, contract acceptance, Hyperion Treatment Plant Construction Services contract under Cisco 6, recommending that the board accept the contract. Mr. Spindler on number 6, Mr. Herman on number 6, Mr. Smith on number 6.
This contract was awarded November 14, 2007, completed September 6, 2011 by Murray Plumbing and Heating Corporation. Of note on this is that we have a goal of 12% and 2% for MBE and WBE. They met the MBE just over 12%, but on the WBE, they actually exceeded it, achieving 4.62%. There were no unresolved financial or property issues on this contract, and the Bureau recommends acceptance.
Okay. Any issues or questions on number 6? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 6, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 6. Any issues sending number 6 forthwith? We'll send number 6 forthwith. Agenda item number 7, Council District 14, recommending that the board concur with the action of Commissioner Davis approving the request of Sinanian Development Incorporated for subcontractor substitution of Cova Construction Incorporated and other business enterprise OBE subcontractor with AZ Construction Incorporated doing business as Ace Fence Company, a disadvantaged business enterprise, a DBE subcontractor, for fences and gates work in connection with the Los Angeles Department of Transportation bus maintenance and CNG fueling facility located at 454 through 518 East Commercial Street, Los Angeles, California, 90012. Mr. Spindler on number 7, Mr. Herman on number 7, Mr. Smith on number 7.
The Bureau received a request April 5, 2017 from Sinanian Development to substitute Cova Construction, Inc., their OBE subcontractor for fencing and gates, with AZ Construction, Inc., a DBA Ace Fence Company, a DBE subcontractor. Their request included a letter of withdrawal from Cova. The bid listed amount for Cova's portion of the fence and gate work was $260,000. However, the amount submitted by Sinanian Development for Ace's portion of the work is $322,084, a difference of $62,084. Sinanian will decrease their prime participation by the $62,084, so the work will be performed by Ace Fence at no additional cost to the city. And the Bureau concurs with Commissioner Davis's recommendation to approve this substitution.
Any questions on number 7? Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Davis has made a motion, seconded by, that we adopt number 7, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 7. Any issue sending 7 forthwith? We'll send 7 forthwith. Agenda item number 8, Council District 11, recommending that the board concur with the action of Commissioner Davis approving the request of Vadnais Trenchless Services Incorporated for subcontractor substitution of Cal State Renofence Incorporated doing business as Cal State Site Services Incorporated and other business enterprise OBE subcontractor with SoCal Fence, a minority business enterprise MBE subcontractor, to supply portable toilets on the Venice Dual Force Main and Venice Pumping Plant Generator Replacement Project. Mr. Spindler on number 8, Mr. Herman on number 8, Mr. Smith on number 8.
The Bureau received a request from Vadnais Trenchless Services on March 27, 2017 to substitute Cal State Renofence, DBA Cal State Site Services, Inc., Cal State, their OB subcontractor for portable toilets, with SoCal Fence and MB subcontractor to provide the same service. There was no letter accompanying the request from Cal State or from Cal State Renofence withdrawing. The Bureau sent a notice to Cal State Renofence, a 5-day letter, and received no reply. The bid listed amount for Cal State's portion of the portable toilets work is $109,200. SoCal Fence will complete Cal State's portion of the work for this amount. The substitution will be at no additional cost to the city, and the Bureau concurs with Commissioner Davis's recommendation to approve this substitution.
Commissioner Davis has made a motion on agenda item number 8, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 8. Any issue sending number 8 forthwith? We'll send number 8 forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Agenda item number 9, specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids in Council District 8 for the North Outfall Sewer Rehabilitation Unit 1, Van Ness Avenue to Western Avenue. The estimate's $8,487,380, and the bid receipt date is Wednesday, June 21, 2017. Is there a second to my motion? Oh, first of all, Mr. Herman on number 9. Mr. Herman on number 9. Mr. Spindler on number 9. All right, is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 9 forthwith by Commissioner Jacinto? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. General public comment. Mr. Spindler on general public comment. Mr. Herman on general public comment. General public comment is now closed. Mr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned this Monday morning. Have a nice week.